When you wake up in the morning, you have two choices: carry yesterday's weight into today or step into this day like it owes you something. And I'll tell you right now, it does, but it's not going to hand it to you. You've got to claim it. The first thing you need to understand is that your day doesn't start when you check your phone or scroll your feed. It starts the moment you decide what you're going to tell yourself. That voice in your head, that's the steering wheel for everything that follows. If you let it run wild, you'll drift into chaos. If you take control, you can aim straight for the life you want. So every morning before the world has a chance to tell you who you are, you tell yourself loud, clear, with conviction. Because if you don't, someone else will, and they'll use their agenda, not yours. This isn't about cheesy affirmations. This is about hard, unshakable truths that set the tone, lock your focus, and fuel your grit before your feet even hit the floor. These aren't nice words, they're the commands you give yourself to step into the day like you mean it. When your alarm goes off in the morning, you're not just waking up your body, you're waking up your mindset. And here's the truth most people never stop to think about. Your mindset isn't some passive thing that just happens to you. It's the launch pad for your entire day. Every decision you make, every reaction you give, every risk you take or avoid, it all starts with the way you prime your mind the moment you open your eyes. If your first thought is heavy, scattered, or negative, that weight follows you like a shadow. But if your first thought is focused, strong, and intentional, you start the day with momentum instead of playing catch-up. Think of it like this. When a rocket launches, the first few seconds burn the most fuel. Why? Because that's the hardest part. It's fighting gravity. And your morning mindset is the same way. The moment you wake up, you're fighting mental gravity. Old habits, yesterday's problems, doubts, distractions. If you let those things pull you down before you even get out of bed, the rest of the day becomes a slow drag up. But if you push through with the right mental fuel first thing in the morning, you break free from that pull and set yourself on a direct path to where you want to go. That's why what you tell yourself in the morning isn't some fluffy good vibes ritual, it's strategy. It's you taking the controls before the day takes them from you. The people who feel like life is constantly happening to them are the ones who start the day on autopilot. They wake up, check their phone, scroll through other people's lives, and let notifications and headlines decide their mood. They don't even realize they've handed the keys over before they've had breakfast. Then they wonder why they feel off balance all day. It's because their mindset never had a chance to lead. They let the noise lead instead. When you treat your mindset like the launch pad, you understand that your first thoughts aren't random. They're a choice. You can start by asking yourself, what energy am I going to operate from today? Not what's going to happen to me, but how am I going to show up? That one shift changes everything. Because if you decide on strength, resilience, and focus before life throws its punches, you're not scrambling to recover, you're ready to respond. You've already locked in who you're going to be before the test comes. It's like a pilot checking their instruments before takeoff. They don't wait until they're in the middle of turbulence to see if the controls work. They prepare on the ground so that when they're in the air they can navigate with confidence. Your morning mindset is your pre-flight check. You look at the day ahead and say, here's where I'm going. Here's how I'm going to get there, and here's how I'll handle it when something tries to knock me off course. You don't have to know every detail, you just have to lock in your direction and refuse to let small storms throw you into a tailspin. And here's the secret most people miss. You don't need to feel motivated to start this way. Motivation is fickle. Some mornings you'll wake up ready to crush it. Other mornings you'll wake up feeling like you've been hit by a truck. That's normal. But the power of deciding your mindset first thing is that it doesn't rely on how you feel in that moment. You could be tired, stressed, or uninspired, and still choose thoughts that move you forward. That's what separates people who control their day from people who get controlled by it. If you want proof, think about the last time you woke up in a bad mood but something later in the day snapped you out of it. Maybe you got good news, maybe a friend made you laugh, maybe you hit a small win at work and suddenly your whole energy changed. That's because your mindset shifted and everything else followed. Now imagine if you could start with that shift before anything happened. Imagine not waiting for something external to lift you, but deciding from the start that you're already lifted. That's the power we're talking about. Your mindset is either your launch pad or your anchor. If it's your anchor, you're dragging through the day, weighed down, reacting to everything and feeling like you're always behind. But if it's your launch pad, you start with momentum, clarity, and drive. And momentum is a force that's hard to stop. You don't have to be perfect and you don't have to control every outcome. You just have to make sure the first words, thoughts, and energy you put into your day are aimed at lifting you instead of limiting you. Because once you're in the air, it's a lot easier to stay up there than it is to claw your way out of the mud halfway through the day. Every morning you get a choice. You can hit snooze on your mind and hope the day treats you well, or you can light that mental ignition and decide that no matter what's ahead, you're launching strong. And when you launch strong, the day doesn't just happen, you make it happen. The world has a way of trying to get inside your head before you've even had the chance to open both eyes. You don't even need to step outside your phone, your inbox, the news, the noise. It's all there, ready to hijack your mood before your feet touch the floor. That's why the words you say to yourself first thing in the morning are not just about getting inspired, they are your armor. They are your shield against the flood of negativity that's waiting to come at you from every direction. If you don't put that armor on early, you're stepping into a fight without protection. The truth is, the world will not hand you a peaceful mindset. It will test you, poke at you, and try to set the tone for you. One rude comment, one bad headline, one problem you weren't expecting. That's all it takes to shift your energy if you're unprepared. That's why you don't wait for trouble to come before you build your defense. You build it first thing in the morning when your mind is fresh, before outside voices have a chance to crowd it. This is where morning self-talk comes in, not as a feel-good pep talk but as a deliberate strategy to protect your focus and energy from being hijacked. Think of it like locking your house before you leave. You don't leave the door wide open and just hope no one comes in. You secure it. You decide what comes in and what stays out. Your mind works the same way. If you start the day telling yourself who you are, what matters to you, and how you're going to show up, then when negativity comes knocking, it doesn't just stroll right in. It hits the door you've already locked. People underestimate how quickly outside negativity can take over. One text from someone in a bad mood, one piece of gossip, one little setback, and suddenly you're carrying someone else's emotional baggage for the rest of the day. But if you've already armed yourself with strong intentional words in the morning, those things don't land the same way. They might still hit, but they don't stick. You're not absorbing every piece of junk that comes your way because you've already filled your mind with something stronger. This isn't about pretending bad things don't exist. It's about being so clear and grounded in your own mindset that negativity can't decide your mood for you. You acknowledge the challenges, but you don't let them dictate how you feel or how you act. And that ability to separate what happens from how you respond comes from preparation. You can't expect to hold your ground in the middle of the storm if you didn't put your armor on when the skies were calm. Every day you have two conversations, the one the world tries to have with you, and the one you have with yourself. If you let the world go first, you're on defense all day. You're reacting, adjusting, and trying to get back to center. But if you go first, if you tell yourself what kind of person you're going to be before anyone else speaks into your life, then you're not on defense. You're leading. You're choosing the frame through which you see everything else. The problem is, most people think they can just handle it when negativity shows up. They think I'll deal with it when it comes. But that's like waiting until you're in the middle of the rain to buy an umbrella. You're already and once you're soaked, it's a lot harder to get warm and dry again. Morning self-talk is you grabbing that umbrella before you even step outside. You might still walk through the rain, but it doesn't drench you the same way. When you put your armor on early, it changes the way you process challenges. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you don't carry it all day. A coworker comes in with a bad attitude, you don't mirror it back. A problem pops up that you didn't see coming. You deal with it without letting it define your mood. Why? Because you already decided how you were going to show up today, and you're not handing that decision over to anyone else. Negativity is like a virus, it's contagious, but so is strength. When you start your morning with a mindset that's solid and unshakable, you don't just protect yourself, you influence others. People can feel it. They sense that you're grounded, that you're not easily rattled, and it changes the way they interact with you. And here's the best part: when you protect your mindset early, you're not spending all your energy repairing it later. You can use that energy to focus, create, build, and actually enjoy the day instead of just surviving it. So every morning, before the noise gets in, before the world tries to tell you how to feel, you tell yourself first, you set the tone, you build the armor. Because once you've got that in place, negativity might still knock, but it's not getting inside. And when you walk through your day with that kind of protection, you're not just surviving the chaos, you're owning the day from start to finish. The words you say to yourself in the morning have to mean something to you. Not sound nice, not impress someone else, not be the latest thing you read on some motivational post. They have to be yours, personal, intentional. They have to carry weight, because if they don't, they'll vanish the second life pushes. Too many people repeat phrases they don't even believe, hoping that just saying them will magically change something. But if the words don't connect to your values, your goals, and the person you're becoming, they're just noise, empty air. And empty air doesn't hold you up when the day gets heavy. When you wake up, you're setting the programming for your brain. It's like entering coordinates into a GPS. If you don't put in the right destination, you won't get where you need to go. And if you just punch in some random location because it sounds cool, you could end up any. That's what happens when you grab generic affirmations off the shelf and try to make them fit you. They might feel good in the moment, but they're not built for your road, your challenges, or your dream. You need words that make sense for your life, words that hit you in the chest because they speak to exactly where you are and where you're headed. Personal and intentional statements work because they connect your mind with your mission. You're not just saying, I am confident. You're saying, I can walk into that meeting today and lead it without hesitation. You're not saying, I am strong. You're saying, no matter what happens, I have the grit to handle it. That's specific. That's personal. That's you talking to yourself in a way that actually moves the needle. And here's the thing, intentional words also hold you accountable. When you tell yourself something that's tied to your goals, you can't just drift through the day, ignoring it. If you wake up and declare, today I'm going to be patient when things get frustrating, then when that frustration shows up, you'll hear your own voice in your head. You'll remember the choice you made in the morning. That's the power of intention. It doesn't just inspire you, it follows you. The reason most people drop their morning self-talk after a few days is because they treat it like a magic spell instead of a commitment. They think they can say something vague and feel better instantly. But the real magic comes from meaning every word you say and building it into who you are. And to do that, you've got to choose statements that speak directly to the battles you're fighting and the wins you're chasing. It's not always about being positive. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can tell yourself in the morning is something gritty and real. Something like, I don't have to like this part of the process, but I'm not going to quit. Or today is going to challenge me, but I've handled worse. Those words stick because they're true. You're not pretending the hard stuff isn't there. You're deciding how you'll face it. And when your words are rooted in truth, they have the power to cut through excuses when things get tough. There's also a huge difference between talking at yourself and talking to yourself. Talking at yourself is when you rattle off lines without even listening. Talking to yourself is when you slow down enough to hear the words and let them sink in. That's what makes them personal. You're not performing, you're speaking, and you're speaking to the part of you that needs to hear it most. That might be the part of you that doubts, the part that procrastinates, the part that gets anxious. When you speak to that part directly, you're not just giving yourself a boost, you're giving yourself a command. And make no mistake, your words are commands. Your brain is listening. If you tell it you're going to get through the day no matter what, it starts looking for ways to make that happen. If you tell it you're ready to take action, it starts scanning for opportunities. But if you tell it something generic and shallow, it won't know what to do with it. The more intentional you are, the more your mind can work with you instead of against you. This is why you can't afford to waste your first words of the day on things that don't matter. Those words are the building blocks for your mindset, your decisions, your habits. They are the first tools you give yourself to build the kind of day you want. And if those tools are blunt, broken, or borrowed from someone else, they're not going to get the job done. You've got to sharpen them, customize them, and make sure they're built for you. So when you get up tomorrow, don't reach for something vague. Reach for something real, something that's tied to the life you're building, the challenges you know are coming, and the standard you've set for yourself. Say it like you mean it because you should mean it. And when the day tests you, and it will, those words will be there, not as decoration, but as a foundation you can stand on. That's the difference between saying nice things to yourself and telling yourself something powerful. One fades, the other carries you. The biggest mistake people make with morning self-talk is treating it like a one-time spark instead of a daily fire. They say it once, feel a little lift, and then expect it to carry them for weeks. It doesn't work like that. Consistency is the secret. It's the difference between a short burst of motivation and a lasting shift in how you think and act. You can't expect one strong morning to change your life any more than you can expect one workout to get you in shape. It's the repetition, the showing up every single day, that turns words into reality. At first it might feel forced, you might not believe every word you're saying yet. That's normal. Your brain has been running the same mental patterns for years, and you're asking it to start running new ones. It's going to resist. But the more you repeat those intentional statements, the more they start to carve new pathways in your mind. What starts as something you consciously say becomes something you instinctively believe. And when you believe it, you act on it without hesitation. Think about how habits work. You don't wake up one day fluent in them. You build them through consistent action until they become part of who you are. Morning self-talk is the same. It's a mental habit. Then, like any habit, the magic happens when it stops feeling like work and starts feeling like second nature. When you've said something to yourself so many mornings in a row that it becomes the default thought your brain runs when things get tough, that's when you know it's sunk in. Here's the hard truth. Life will test you over and over. One good day won't prepare you for all of it. You might have a strong start, then get blindsided by something unexpected at noon, and without that daily repetition, it's too easy to slip back into old ways of thinking. But if you've been telling yourself the same powerful, personal, intentional truths every single morning, they'll be right there when you need them. They'll come up automatically, almost like muscle memory, and that's when you'll realize the repetition was worth it. Consistency also sends a powerful message to yourself. You're serious. You're committed. You're not just hyping yourself up when you feel like it. You're building something permanent, and that commitment changes the way you carry yourself. You start trusting yourself more because you see that you can keep promises to yourself. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes action. You stop waiting for motivation to show up because you've built a system that works whether you feel like it or not. Some mornings you'll feel on fire and the words will flow easily. Other mornings you'll be tired, stressed, maybe even annoyed at the thought of saying them again. But those hard mornings are where the real growth happens. Because when you choose to show up for yourself even when it's inconvenient, you're proving that this isn't just a fair weather habit, it's who you are. You're telling your mind and body, we do this every day. No excuse. And here's the thing, every day you repeat those statements, you're planting seeds. You might not see the growth right away, but over time it becomes obvious. You start noticing how you handle situations differently. You catch yourself staying calmer, speaking up more, taking action faster. And when you trace it back, you realize it started with those small, consistent moments in the morning where you decided what kind of person you were going to be that day. It's easy to get discouraged if you don't see instant results. But that's just impatience talk. Real transformation is slow, steady, and rooted in discipline. The results sneak up on you. One day you'll be in the middle of a challenge and realize you're handling it with more strength and clarity than you would have 6 months ago. And it won't be because of some massive dramatic change. It'll be because of the quiet, consistent work you've been doing every morning. Repetition also works because it makes your words undeniable to your own mind. The first time you say something like I can handle anything that comes my way, your brain might roll its eyes. But the 100th time, the 1000th time, it's not just a phrase anymore, it's part of your identity. And once something becomes part of your identity, you don't have to force it, you live it. So don't underestimate the power of saying the same things over and over. Don't get bored with the basics. Those repeated intentional statements are not empty. They are building you from the inside out. They're training your thoughts to work for you instead of against you. And over time, they'll stop feeling like something you do. They'll feel like something you are. One strong morning won't change your life, but 1,000 strong mornings, that will make you unstoppable. And that's the power of showing up for yourself day after day, until your words stop being something you say and start being the truth you live. Every morning when you open your eyes, you're not just setting the tone for your day, you're shaping your identity. The things you tell yourself aren't just about getting in a good mood, they're about deciding who you are and reinforcing it until it becomes unshakable. Your morning declarations are more than a pep talk, they're you programming the operating system you'll run on for the rest of the day. And the way you see yourself dictates everything you do, from the choices you make to the way you handle pressure. Most people go through life letting their identity be shaped by circumstances, opinions, and past experiences. If something good happens, they feel confident. If something bad happens, they feel small. They're constantly reacting, constantly letting the outside world decide how they see themselves. But when you take control of your self-talk in the morning, you flip that script. You're not waiting for external validation, you're creating internal certainty. You're telling yourself who you are before the world gets a chance to. When you speak powerful truths about yourself every morning, you're not just motivating your mood, you're solidifying your sense of self. And here's why that matters. Your brain is wired to act in ways that are consistent with your identity. If you tell yourself, I'm someone who follows through, you're far more likely to follow through because you've linked it to who you are, not just something you hope to do. If you tell yourself, I'm a problem solver, your brain will look for ways to solve problems instead of getting stuck in them. Identity drives action. The problem is, a lot of people don't realize they're already telling themselves an identity every day. They're just doing it in a negative way. They wake up thinking, I'm not good at this, or I'm always behind, or I can't catch a break. Those thoughts aren't harmless, they're commands. They become self-fulfilling. If you see yourself as someone who's always behind, you'll make decisions that keep you behind. If you see yourself as someone who's unlucky, you'll notice and focus on every bad break and miss opportunities right in front of you. That's why the words you choose in the morning matter so much. They're the blueprint you hand to your brain for the day, and over time, they become the blueprint for your life. You can't build a strong identity on shaky words. You have to be deliberate. You have to decide exactly what kind of person you're becoming, and speak it into yourself until there's no doubt. That's not arrogance, it's clarity. It's alignment between who you say you are and how you live. Here's the thing. When you start declaring your identity with conviction, your actions start catching up to it. You might not be fully there yet, but by reinforcing it every morning, you're pulling yourself toward it. If you tell yourself, I'm disciplined, you might not be perfect today, but you'll make more disciplined choices than if you woke up saying nothing at all. If you tell yourself, I'm resilient, you might still have tough moments, but you'll bounce back faster because you've already decided that's who you are. This is why morning self-talk is more powerful than just a mood boost. Moods change with the wind, but identity is steady. When you root your words in identity, you don't have to feel great to live them out. You just have to remember who you are. And that memory will carry you through days when motivation is nowhere to be found. You're not acting based on how you feel in the moment. You're acting based on the standard you've set for yourself. It's also worth saying that this doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning, declare I'm confident, and suddenly live free of doubt forever. This is a process of reinforcement. Every time you speak it, you strengthen it. Every time you act in alignment with it, you lock it in even deeper. And every time life tries to knock it out of you and you hold the line, you prove to yourself that it's real. There's a quiet power in waking up and choosing your identity every single day. You're not letting the past define you. You're not letting other people decide for you. You're building yourself word by word, choice by choice, morning by morning. And over time, you'll look back and realize that those daily declarations weren't just about starting the day right. They were about becoming someone you respect, someone you trust, someone you're proud to be. So tomorrow when you wake up, don't just think about what you want to do today. Think about who you are, say it, own it, live it. Because when you build your identity from the inside out, the world can shake, the circumstances can change, but you'll still stand. And that's the kind of strength no one can take from you. Every morning is a chance to set the stage for the kind of life you want, but it starts long before the first meeting, the first challenge, or the first decision of the day. It starts in that quiet space where it's just you and your thought. That's where you decide whether you're going to drift or lead, whether you're going to let the world tell you who you are or tell yourself first. The things you say in those first moments are not small. They're the foundation. They're the fuel, the armor, the blueprint, the habit, and the identity that carries you through everything that comes after. You can't control every event that's going to happen today, but you can control the mindset you bring to it. And when you choose that mindset on purpose, day after day, it compounds. The small daily choices turn into unstoppable momentum. The intentional words you repeat turn into unshakable beliefs. The identity you declare turns into the person you become. This isn't about hype, it's about strategy. It's about waking up every day and refusing to leave your mindset to chance. Because if you don't lead it, something else will. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for the day to be good to you. You start making the day good because you showed up strong, clear, and ready. That's the difference between surviving your mornings and owning them. And when you own your mornings, you start owning your life.